Maddox, great job today. Quick review, do it with me. This is a whole note. A whole note is the only note that has no filling in the note head and has no stem, meaning it's just a circle. It's worth 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Notice I'm playing on the 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I let 3 other beats decay. So we've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. So the concept is, if you have 4 beats and this is a whole note, you can actually fit 2 half notes, or maybe the note should look the other way depending on the film. Half notes have a whole circle, but then they have a stem. So we count that as 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Well, 2 plus 2 is 4. So if we have 2 half notes in a whole note, we get 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now when we take that whole note, know that there's 2 half notes inside of a whole note. A whole note's worth 4 beats. Half note's worth 2, and there's 2 half notes inside of a whole note. That must mean that there are 2 quarter notes inside of a half note. Meaning, when we play a whole note, 1, 2, 3, 4. Whole note. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Well, when we do half notes, we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 3, 1, 3, meaning we're not going to play anything on the 2 and the 4 beats. Cool? So when we count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, that's what a half note sounds like. If we were to play a beat on every single beat, 1, 2, 3, 4, those would be called quarter notes, okay? So when we have 2 quarter notes that are tied together with a bar, we fill in the note head right here, Notenkoffen. And when we do that, we know that we're gonna have 8 of these inside of a whole note. So what does that mean? Ready? If we count a whole note, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we were to count a half note, we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. So quarter notes would be 1, 2, 3, 4. When we count eighth notes, we don't count them the same way as we count quarters by just saying 1, 2, 3, 4. We put an and in between. That represents the downbeat and the upbeat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. But when we play them, they sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Notice how there are 8 of those beats. I'm gonna go all the way to the top and play a whole note. Ready? 2, 3, half. 1, 2, 3, quarters. 1, 2, here come the ace. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And then the next note that I want you to see, it's a 16th note. It just means that there are 2 eighth notes barred together. And do you notice how there's 2 lines up here making a double bar rather than the single? So the different feeling between the 8th note and then the 16th notes is this. From the top, 1, 2, 3, 4. Whole notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Half note. Half note. 1, 2, 3, 4. Quarter, 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 quarter. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and eighth note, eighth note, eighth note, eighth note. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. These are 16th notes. There are a multitude of different ways to say 16th notes, like we did half note, quarter, quarter, or eighth note. I prefer to say 16th notes in a different variety, and I'll talk to you about that later. But the way we count eighth notes is 1, E, as in ew, and, as in addition, and, plus sign, and then just the letter A. 1, E, and, So if I had 4 of these strung together, I would say 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. That would be 4 consecutive 16th notes. How many 16th notes are there inside of a whole note? You guessed it, 16. There are 16 notes inside. So if you had this times 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 3 more times of that, you would have 16th notes. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. The only difference between that and the next note, 32nd notes, and then 64th notes, and so on and so forth, they just get faster. But we still count them as 16ths after. This is your introduction to rhythm. Just a really quick recap. Whole notes are worth 4 beats. You play on the 1 and let the rest of the notes decay. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a whole note. If I were to have 4 measures of 4 whole notes, I would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. When I counted, notice how I replaced the first number to represent the beginning of the next measure. This might be a little whoop over the top. However, we will work on it. The second note that we played together would have been the half note. The half note's worth 2 beats. Whole note's worth 4. Half note is worth 2. Quarter note is worth 1 beat. When we play the 8th notes are worth a 1 and. So each one of these is worth 0.5 or half. Half plus half equals a whole. 0.5 plus 0.5 equals 1. So that is a beat. And then when we take these, it would be also worth 0.5. So we'd have 5, 5, 5, 5. So each one of these, when we break these down, turns into 1 E and a. These are the basic 5 to 6 rhythms that we will be using from now on. And I hope you really like them. I really enjoyed seeing you today, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. Watch this video a couple times, get familiar with these notes, and I will see you next week. Aloha.